Hello, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to go over the level 10 Mistweaver Monk. This video will be kind of long, so there will be timestamps down at the bottom. Keep in mind that this content is also located in my Discord ahead of time, so if you're not a part of the Discord community, please join. That link will be located down below. Without making this a super long intro, we're just going to go ahead and jump straight to it. Alright guys, so for the helmet, best in slot, you have two options. First one's going to be the Sangermarsh quest that starts off with the Umberfen tribe that you pick up from Ikean. And once that's completed, you'll have the ability to pick up Saving the Sporlocks from Lorana, which is standing right next to Ikean. That quest will give you Scout's Hood, which has 3 sockets, and this can proc as purple. However, yet again, just like my warrior, it did not, so good luck to you. For your second option on the helmet, it would be the Helm of Anomalous, which drops off of Anomalous in the Nexus in the Wrath of the Lich King. The difference between the two is that this one will allow you the ability to put a meta socket in. So, user preference on which one you would prefer to use over the other. Now, for your best in slot shoulder options, I know it says leather on this image here. However, one of the options is cloth. For the first option, it's going to be the Spaulders of the Careless Thief, which drops off of the Grand Magus Telestra in the Nexus. And the second option drops off the last boss in the Slave Pens. Now, for the second option, you will need someone to loot it and trade it with you. My suggestion is to have maybe a free-to-play account run with you on another computer, or if your computer can handle multiple instances of WoW. Run it with you, loot it, be at the same level and level capped with you so that it's the same stats and that you're able to actually equip it, or have a friend run with you and have them loot it and trade it to you. For your best in slot chest, I would go with the Tunic of the Night Watcher. Now, there's clearly other options, but when I compared the list, this one stood out to me personally. Now, that doesn't mean that it's right or wrong in any way. If you find something that you prefer over this, that's perfectly fine too. I think the general rule is to have the sockets and have the right stats that you're missing. And in my situation, I think this would be the best choice out of what was currently available. Now, you can go with the Raiments of Divine Authority, but this one as well is cloth, and you'll need someone to loot it for you and trade it to you if you want that one. Now, for hands, you have a similar situation. You have a choice of Deft Handguards, which drops off the last boss in Slave Pens, which is a leather piece, has 2 sockets. Or you can get the one that drops off of, and I'm probably mispronouncing this, Omor, the Unscarred and Hellfire Ramparts. This one is cloth and will require a cloth user to loot it and trade it to you. For wrist, you will want to get the drop from Aranja in Tiragard Sound. This one can proc a prismatic socket. Before I popped this on here in the guide and looked up everything, I was checking comments and everything, and there were a few that confirmed that it did proc sockets, which is really convenient if you can manage to get it to actually proc that. This is located in Tiragard Sound in Battle for Azeroth, so you will have to time walk to go there and locate here, as you see on the map. Now, when I looked it up, it did state that it's a rare mob and it does not drop at 100%, so you may need to farm it a bit. I personally do not have this item, so I have no personal information on how efficient that is. So you let me know in the comments below. But alternatively, you can grab time-warped pieces and it'll probably work just as well. Now for your belt, you have 2 options. The first one being Liar's Cord, which drops off of Rockmar the Crackler in the Slave Pens. And the second option drops off of Keladon the Breaker in the Blood Furnace. And this one is a cloth piece, so once again, this will require a cloth character to loot and trade it to you. Whatever method you use will work. Now, for legs, there are technically 3 choices that were listed that I found. Of that 3 that were listed, the one that I felt would work best for Mistweaver Monk is are the Moonchild leggings, which drops off of, I'm probably pronouncing this too, Brogok in the Blood Furnace. Alternatively, if you prefer, you can go for Kilt of the Night Strider or Menu's scaled leggings. For best in slot feet, depending on whether you're Horde or Alliance, the quest for both of them can be found in Zangarmarsh, but for Horde side, it's going to be called Pursuing Terror Claw, found in Zobrajan, and is picked up by Zerjaya. For Alliance side, the quest is called The Terror of Marsh-like Lake, and can be found in Orbar Harborage, and it's picked up from Pulu. This quest will reward you with Swamp Runner's Boots. It has 2 sockets, and it can proc Epic. So, once again, good luck on that. Alternatively, though, if you want and you don't want to bother with questing, you can technically do okay with Timewarped feet, but if you're trying to min-max and have as many sockets as possible, I do highly recommend this. Now, for your cloaks, there are multiple choices for this. A lot of them highlighted areas like in Tanan Jungle, also one in Zuldazar. When I was looking up everything for all of those to kind of compare against each other, the Zuldazar one had a post specifically stating about twinks and running it, and that at a low level, it's not very efficient. So those of you that are probably looking elsewhere, or even comparing like I am with BETI's 10 guide, I believe the one cloak that drops in Zuldazar is not worthwhile. Now, the Tanan ones may be worthwhile, but as of this video, I've been too lazy to farm those yet, and I'm running with Time Warp pieces, and it's working just fine. For your neck, it's going to be just like with the Fury Warrior, and most likely with all low-level twinks. It's going to be the Amnesia neck piece, which can be found in a Azure span in Dragonflight. You're going to have to time walk to be able to scale the rare mob to your level and also scale the piece of gear to your level. When I read everything, it said that it wasn't 100% drop rate. Others have stated that it is. I personally don't know. I had it drop immediately. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. However, once you have the Amnesia item by clearing the rare mob there in Azure Span, you'll need to buy or craft 2 different types of tiered medallion settings. The 2-star, you'll need 2 of those, and the 3-star, you'll need 1 of those. That will allow you to have 3 sockets on that neck piece and add more gem slots. And much like the neck piece, the rings are pretty much the same all around for low-level twinks. The second option listed here is obviously Mechagon rings. I've listed it as the second option only because of the time restraint for that and how long it takes to achieve that. However, there's a couple other options. You could just have time warped rings if you don't want to farm all that. It'll be just fine. Additionally, you can, if it allows, if it's in the Mythic plus rotation, there are certain rings you can get. Currently, as of recording this right now, there are rings that you can get in Necrotic Wake. Sorry. But it's up to you which one you prefer. Now, for your best in slot trinkets, the first choice, like I've mentioned in many other videos, is going to be the Infinitely Divisible Ooze. I do have a video specifically titled this and goes over how to obtain it, how to use it, but brief overview. You can get it in the last boss in Plaguefall in Shadowlands. You will need to time walk to be able to enter and loot this in Shadowlands. Additionally, how it works is you time walk to queue for the particular dungeons you want. For example, if you want to do Burning Crusade, you queue for Burning Crusade after changing to Burning Crusade timeline with Chromie. As soon as the queue pops or starts, you can then revert back to the original timeline to run it. Now, it will not work as intended during time walking events, which is completely different from normal time walking. So keep that in mind. Now, for your second options, for intellect users, Balefire Branch. Me personally, that's what I'm going to go for because it has an on-use 100 intellect proc, but there are a couple other options depending on what you are lacking and what you're needing. Now, for the weapons, I will be 100% honest with you all. I do not have this yet. However, upon extensive research, by research, I mean referencing BETI's 10 guide, Redemption seemed to be the best choice in what to pick for your level 10 Mistweaver Monk. Sorry, I'm choking on air apparently there. This drops from Wily Hopebreaker and also from the Unforgiven in Stratholme in the classic version of it. So in the event right now, that's what's going, so you can easily grab that. However, if you're not able to get that, you have a couple other choices as listed here, or you can just use two-handed int weapons from Timewarped pieces in any time walking event. Up to you. Okay, so on to gemming. For starters, you're going to start off with the Shadowlands Gems. On the left side here, the doublets, you're going to use one each in your entire gear set. On the right side, the clusters, you're going to use as many as you need until you hit 49% speed cap. When you're gemming these into your gear, if you have a gear set piece that has 3 sockets in it, or 2, multiple sockets, you technically can put 2 or 3 of the same gem in there, and it will give you 2 or 3 times that stat itself. However, it will not register the doublets increase by having multiple of the same in one gear piece. Is it intentional? I don't know. So what you would want to do instead is, for example, put a versatility, a haste, and a crit on any of those pieces that have 3 sockets in it. And you do this and repeat it until you hit 49% speed cap. Once you've hit 49% speed cap, you're going to swap to the other gems. And as you can see here, these are the additional gems that you can use in your gear. I've also included the meta gem that goes into your helm if you went the Helm of Anomalous route to use a meta gem in your helm socket instead. Now, I personally don't have a preferred opinion at the moment on whether you should versatility stack or haste stack. When I first started twinking on my monk, before I started really gung-hoing for Warforged gear back in the day, I did try versatility stacking. It was okay. Later, when I swapped over to gearing for Warforged gear, I did an even balance between haste and crit. It ended up destroying things pretty quickly. Does that mean that it will with the item level squish and reverting back to socketed gear? I'm not 100% certain, because I'm still in the process of gathering some of these pieces from when I had full Warforged gear. So use this and experiment how you please. You know, let me know what works for you and kind of get some ideas. Maybe later on down the road, I can experiment with a versatility build versus a haste crit build and kind of compare with another video. For enchants, I went the route of lifestealing. Previously, when Warforged gear was still viable and it wasn't item level squished prior to War Within, I did try other enchants on the weapon, but when I first came back, the monk was a little bit more squishy than it used to be. So I would highly recommend that you have lifestealing on your weapon for your monk until maybe we'll come up with something better in the future. If you know of a better setup than this and you're watching this, please let me know down in the comments. I would greatly appreciate it. But from what I could gather, this would work out. It would bring up haste and bring your global cooldown a little bit, bring a little bit of versatility, maintain the usual buffs that all low-level twinks can and generally have for the boots, the neck, and the weapon. But this is, for the most part, what you would go for. Now, there are some optional profession-based enchants, I should say. Sorry. With these, I haven't tested every single one of these out to be 100% clear. I generally go engineering and alchemy on most of my twinks. Now, I can see the benefit of the others with the leg enchants and the inscription enchants. However, I have not personally done that. So if you have done this and you're aware of how it works out, I do know that some people have mentioned that with the leatherworking on other types of twinks, not just this one in particular, can get the buffs on their legs, but then drop leatherworking and still keep the buff. Can that be the same with inscription? I would assume inscription, probably not. But if that's the case, let me know down in the comments, guys. But for the monk, if you are struggling to stay ahead or keep up with others, I absolutely love nitro boosts. I really, really do. but there was a time on my monk where I used the frag belt and carried grenades to help out in clearing some bosses too. So whatever works best in your situation and what you're lacking. Since we were talking about alchemy, I wanted to highlight that a little bit. Alchemy provides you with a +4 in whatever stat that is your highest stat, right? So in this case, it would be intellect for the Mistweaver Monk. I want to highlight it because it's a permanent flask. You don't have to invest in it after you've crafted it the first time. You will have to level alchemy to 300 though, all the way to the end to be able to craft it. And the materials here are listed, 1 of the vials and 7 of the other types of mats. And then you could just continually pop that for a +4 permanent stat, basically. Last 2 hours, compared to, for example, some of the elixirs that you can buy in the auction house or craft, and they only last like 20 minutes to an hour. And they may or may not do as many stats as you're, as much of the stats you're needing. And just like my other best in slot guide, very light talk off about Outlands gear, proccing sockets, and extra stats like speed and leech. Your main focus should be to first get the piece, not try to focus on farming that same one over and over to get the socket proc. You want to get full best in slot prior to starting this adventure, I should say, because it's not a very high chance for it to happen, but if and when it does, it is nice. So try to do that after you've got all of your base pieces down pat first. And we've finally made it to the last topic of the guide here, and that is consumables. This doesn't mean that you have to get these, but here's a list of things that you can use as a level 10. If there's anything wrong or missing in information here, please let me know. But I do know personally the Swiftness Potion I use quite extensively, and the Roast Raptor for a food buff if and when I feel like really min-maxing to the extreme. Healing potions are good too, especially for the monk, with the extra level of squishiness compared to, say, a Fury Warrior with its self-heal procs, because Lifesteal will not proc anywhere near as often as the Warrior will. So do keep that in mind with survivability. But anyways, guys, that was the best in slot guide for your level 10 Mistweaver Monk. I do understand that there may be a possibility that I may have missed anything. Please let me know down in the comments if and where I did miss any kind of topic or maybe mispronounce something. I do appreciate the feedback from all of you, and also enjoy the support from all of you. Thank you so much. If there's another class that you would like me to do this for, please let me know. As of recording this right now, this will be my second full best in slot guide. I currently have the 11 Fury Warrior on here, and now we'll have the level 10 Mistweaver Monk. I believe my next goal will be a level 20 Resto Shaman. Yeah, until next time, guys, I hope you have a wonderful new year, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.